Is sleeping with air conditioning bad for you? Watch on because the facts are going to shock you. So, for a start, here's a burning question. How many of us sleep with air conditioning on in Singapore? According to the latest Singapore Department of Statistics Household Expenditure Survey, about 4 out of 5 Singaporean households have aircon at home. Yeah, I'm also shocked to learn that it's not 5 out of 5. But how long do we actually run the thing? An OCBC band survey found that about 42% of Singaporeans run their air conditioner for between 3 to 6 hours a day. A separate 2017 survey of 229 Singapore residents by researchers Yang and Rashong published in the journal Indoor and Built Environment found that 40% of them ran their aircon for more than 6 hours straight throughout the night. The other 60% ran it for 1 to 6 hours. In other words, simply put, you can say that about half of us in Singapore sleep with air conditioning. Yeah, I'm also shocked to learn that it's not all of us in Singapore sleep with air conditioning. We all know it's very shock, but is it good for us? Well, apparently it is. For a start, sleep researchers generally agree we sleep better in cooler rooms, recommending a bedroom temperature of around 18 to 20 degrees Celsius for most adults because our core body temperature naturally drops at night and the cool temperature helps that happen. A 2023 study by researchers at the Hinda and Arthur Marcus Institute for Aging Research at Hillbrook Senior Life and Harvard Medical School, published in Science of the Total Environment, tracked 50 older adults over 11,000 nights of sleep. They found sleep was most efficient when the bedroom was between 20 to 25 degrees Celsius, and sleep efficiency dropped when the temperature rose. Considering that Singapore's nights regularly hovers around 25 to 26 degrees Celsius, this is basically scientific permission to turn on the aircon. Well, so now that studies have shown that lower temperature helps us sleep better, why are we all not sleeping with air conditioning? It turns out that it might be bad too, and it's not because it's expensive. A study published in Energy and Buildings in 2017 found that when aircon airflow is directed at the body, even at speeds you can barely feel, it disrupts sleep. Subjects had more nighttime awakenings, higher heart rates, and more body movement, especially during light sleep stages. This means that blasting the aircon directly at your face the whole night will affect your sleep negatively. There's also the air quality issue. A 2023 study on aircon and sick building syndrome, published in the Indian Journal of Occupational and Environmental Medicine, found that people in air-conditioned environments reported significantly more eye, respiratory, and general symptoms than those in naturally ventilated spaces. Although note that this is for people who are not sleeping. You see, the cold, dry air can irritate the airway lining and trigger congestion, sneezing, and a runny nose. For folks with asthma, sinusitis, or sensitive skin, an aircon that's not regularly cleaned can also recirculate dust and allergens. So, sleeping with aircon is not inherently bad, but sleeping in a freezing, dry, dusty room with cold air shooting straight at your face is bad. The solution is simple. If you want to sleep with air conditioning, don't blast the aircon directly at your face. It's a Jisoo Life handheld fan, and service the aircon regularly so the filter will be clean, or clean the filter regularly yourself. You can also prevent dry air by changing your aircon mode, which I'll explain later. So, to conclude, sleeping with air conditioning is indeed good, but you need to point the airflow upwards or away from your bed and clean your filters regularly. Also, you need to use the correct aircon mode. And if you really must use the aircon, the NEA recommends setting it at 25 degrees Celsius or higher. But what if you want to save money and use a fan instead? If you are trying to cut down on aircon use, there are some evidence-based ways to still sleep well. The most underrated one is this: take a warm shower about 60 minutes before bed. I know, this sounds counterintuitive in hot Singapore, but a 2019 systematic review and meta-analysis by researchers at the University of Texas, published in Sleep Medicine Reviews, look at 17 studies on this. They found that bathing or showering in water of about 40 to 42.5 degrees Celsius around 1 to 2 hours before bed can shorten the time it takes to fall asleep by an average of around 36%. But why? You see, the warm water pulls blood towards your hands and feet, which then helps your core body temperature drop faster afterward. Your body basically thinks it's bedtime. A few more practical moves backed by sleep research is this: use a fan to circulate air, as the white noise also helps you nod off. Switch to breathable cotton or linen bedding instead of synthetic stuff that traps heat, and interestingly, stay hydrated, because dehydration makes it harder for your body to regulate temperature. Now, if you have also noticed, earlier I spoke about using the correct aircon mode, whereby one mode can affect the humidity. You see, there are actually different modes for an air conditioner, and many of us just leave it at the default mode, which is actually the wrong mode to use in Singapore. Watch this to know more about the different aircon modes you likely did not know of. Also, if you want to advertise with us, even as a standalone video, do contact us. Our website is in the description, or you can scan this QR code. Thank you for spending almost 5 minutes with me. I really appreciate it and hope you learned something.